This business is all that it's cracked up to be and then some. Good morning. My name is Carlos Rivero, and this is Small Business Matters. And first of all, we always like to thank Miami's Community News for giving us this platform. So today we have something a little bit different. Is this a business? Is this an entrepreneurial venture? We're going to find out. So forgive me for the lame joke, but I want to introduce you to Dr. Cesar Deet. Cesar.
Hi, how you doing?
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
All right. So, you know, and in the interest of full disclosure, I do Dr. Deet's marketing, so I'm very familiar with him, and it's been a great ride. We've had a lot of success, but more than our success are his patients' success. But before we get into what he does exactly, he is very different. Let's talk about you a little bit. Where are you from originally? And then we'll get into things you did before you were a chiropractor.
Okay. Well, I was born in Louisiana, Lafayette.
Louisiana?
Yeah. So I'm a registered Kunas, according to the Louisiana doctrine.
Okay.
That's what they call themselves over there.
All right.
And then I came over here very young, and then I did the whole Dade County Public School up until I went to Columbus.
Okay.
And then went to UM. And then I took 20 years off of doing all these different entrepreneurial stuff.
Okay.
And then I went back to school because I found the passion that I thought that would take me into my retirement.
And what was that passion?
The passion of helping people.
Okay.
And people realizing that there's more to being alive. You can be healthy and thriving, alive and thrive, you know what I mean? And feel good about yourself and understand that your body, you know, the power that made the body heals the body, and you can get that much better all the time.
Okay, so what does DBFC stand for?
Deet Family Chiropractic.
Okay, so you're a doctor of chiropractic.
Doctor of chiropractic.
All right, before we go there,
right?
What did you do before in that 20-year gap of entrepreneurship?
Wow, 20-year gap. I did had a vending machine business.
Okay.
So I had that for several years, and then I went to work for a company selling cabinet parts and stuff like that.
Okay.
And then I ended up owning my own cabinet and closet company.
Okay.
So I got used to being in pain all the time.
Okay.
And that's when I started chiropractic. I started going to the chiropractor, and he started working on me, and he had me going 3 times a week, and he did the same exact thing to me all the time. And, you know, I felt like I wasn't advancing a lot of times, but the quick relief for the 3 days, I needed it, you know? So I would go. And then my kids were little, you know, and I'm like a type A full-on dad when my kids were little.
Right.
You know, so I have to show.
I think you still are, by the way.
And then I find out that, you know, I'm not getting younger. I was getting older, but I still had to keep up, and I had to show them, like, you know, if we had to dive off a bridge, you know, I was the first one to dive.
Okay.
You know, I'm the one doing backflips off of T-tops, you know, in my 30s, and, you know, and hydro sliding. And then, of course, I would pay for it, and I'd go to the chiropractor on Monday. So then he would fix me, and I'd be good by Wednesday. So I realized there's a quick fix, but there's also a long-term fix.
Okay.
And that's where I learned more when I was in school, how the long-term fix and where things come from in a lifestyle. Because chiropractic is not about just cracking bones. It's about a lifestyle, and you have to live a lifestyle to feel better. And then once you start feeling better, it's like, you know, the sequela starts. Oh, I feel better. So then maybe I'm not going to eat that. Oh, and since I didn't eat that, and maybe I lost a couple pounds, I mean, I might go on a run, or I go start walking, so that way I can keep it going. And then people start, it changed life. And that's the biggest success I find in my practice, is that people come in, they're like, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this. And I'm like, why not?
Meaning their lifestyle? Like...
Yeah, their lifestyle. I sit around, I have no energy.
Right.
I don't go here. My shoulder always hurts, and my knee hurts. And then I fix all those things on them, you know, in a few visits. And then they're like, oh, I started working out. And I went to, you know, this gym, and I go to that gym.
I play golf again, for example.
The golfers are huge.
Oh, really?
Yeah. My golf business is the golfing club, I call it.
Yeah.
I get them extra yards on their drive. I have a mutual friend of ours, the Miami water heater guy.
Yeah.
He's like, I got a tournament. I got to play good. What do I got to do? And I show him how to stretch in a different way. And he's like, I got it. You know what I mean? He plays better, and then he's like, great.
And he's a good golfer to start with.
He's a great golfer. Yeah, I've golfed with him also. Man, he's impressive.
Yeah. So before we continue on your chiropractic path, I want to get a sense for you being an entrepreneur for many years. What are some of the lessons you learned? Besides trying not to hurt yourself.
Right. The business entity. The whole concept of your personal life and your business financially, that's a big,
expand on that. What do you mean?
Because a lot of people, they're like, oh, I work for myself. Okay. It's a small business. I work for myself. My kids work for me. My wife works for me, those kind of things. And then so they start mixing the money. No, you're your number one employee. And you have to pay yourself first, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, if you can't pay yourself, you don't pay yourself.
Okay.
Because your business isn't making money. So your business has to make money. And you got to work at your business all the time. And a small business, everyone's like, oh, you work for yourself. Like right now, thank God, I've been blessed. And I work a certain amount of hours a week. Sometimes I don't want to talk about it because everybody jokes about it.
Well, it's funny because I think that's also a misconception because, you are working on patients 4 days a week, but I know you're working your business the other 3 days.
Right, there was 7 days a week.
You're working 7 days a week,
right. So everyone's like, you only work 27 hours? I'm like, no, I see patients. I'm available 27 hours.
Right.
I go, but we film my Instagram, which you should follow Instagram if you're not following my Instagram. You get a lot of anecdotal things. You have Motivational Monday, which is on fire, because people even tell me, hey, what you wrote the other day, it was great. And I go back and I read it because I didn't see it, it's because I write some things and then you forget. And I forget. So but all the different things, small business, it's a big business to you.
Okay. I love that statement.
It's a big business to you because that's what you got and that's who you are.
Yeah.
And that's why a lot of people, they're like, man, you always wear shirts that have your name on it and you're always advertising. I'm like, yeah. Why am I gonna advertise somebody else? Yeah. When I can advertise myself? And then you go, hey, what's DBFC? I'm like, oh well, I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
Or why is there a spine on the exclamation point? I'm like, because the spine is the most important thing in your body.
So guess what? You inspired me, and I just bought some shirts for my company. So for the first time ever.
Yeah, I mean, you have to wear them because people have to ask.
Yeah,
Unbelievable.
So, any other lessons in entrepreneurship?
Give me an area, and I'll tell you about that aspect. I mean,
how about, because now really it's not so much sales per se, but how was selling, to put a cabinet in or to put a vending machine somewhere? How did you learn sales? And, do you have any tips and tricks?
Sales, you can read all the different things of Napoleon Hill, and you can read The Greatest Salesman in the World. The truth is, you have to believe in what you sell.
Okay.
And if you own your own business, you can't do it just for the money. You have to do it because you believe in it in your heart.
Okay.
And you have to want to share what you have. You want to share your gold with somebody else.
Yeah.
Because the more gold you share, more gold comes back.
Okay.
All right. Yeah. So that's how it works, and then, you keep doing things. If you believe in it, you're not really selling. You're just telling the truth.
Great way to look at it.
If you tell the truth and you say what's really going on, people go, hey, you know what? It might not be the depth of his logic. It's the height of his emotion. And that's why I want to do it.
Okay. Fair enough. Well, you know what they say? All purchases are emotional.
Everything.
They're justified with logic, but purchases are definitely emotional, even if you're buying a widget. So let's move on to chiropractic. And I want to talk to you about, because going in, I had these preconceived notions about chiropractic. So let's hit these one by one. The first one, and I did go to a chiropractor 100 years ago, it seems, somebody told me, no, you need to go to this guy. He really helped me out. So I go for one visit, and the first thing he does is, okay, great, sign this document for 10 more treatments. And it was, close to $2,000, something like that. So what do you have to say about that?
Everybody's business, they run them how they like to run them.
Okay.
Right. I prefer, and I speak to my colleagues, and they all tell me I should be doing that. I don't like doing that.
So so there's never a contract to sign at the Betch Family Chiropractic?
No.
Okay.
There's not a contract to sign. You're an adult. You want to get better. I show you what's wrong with you. If you want to take the responsibility of your own life and make yourself better, then come in. If you don't feel the need to come in, then don't.
Okay.
I don't want to force anybody to be there. Or like, I have people who tell me, yeah, I'm going to go to you as soon as I finish my contract. I go, what contract? I go, you tell me you don't go to the chiropractor. He goes, yeah, but I have 6 visits left, so I might as well use them before I invest more money in chiropractic. I'm like, okay, so you're not going to that doctor, and then you can't come to me because you have a paper that you signed 2 years ago that, it doesn't make sense. To me, it just doesn't make sense to have somebody do that.
Yeah.
And then, it's a lot of paperwork too. You sign the contract, and you don't want to come in at the end, and then you want your money back. And, listen, come in, pay me.
Yeah.
A la carte.
Yeah. Do you take insurance?
Insurance is a funny game.
Okay.
Because insurances love to say, oh, you have 25 chiropractic visits. And then you come in, and then they say, it says SMP only.
What does that mean?
Standard manipulative process or whatever. So that means basically I have to push on you only 3 times and I get my money, and then you don't get fixed.
Right.
But that's part of the 3 times a week for other people to go in, and they justify the contract of like, oh, you got to come 3 times a week and you got to do this and for 12 weeks. And like I said, in standard chiropractic practices, that is what's taught. I have evolved in my practice, and I've evolved in my treatment, that you don't have to come in 3 times a week. You don't have to do, if you do what I tell you to do, you come in once a week, and you come in for as long as you want, and then you come and go as you please,
So another chiropractic myth, you're going to bend me like a pretzel and crack every bone in my body.
Okay, so I have a different view on that as well.
Okay.
And then in chiropractic, there's 250 different techniques.
Okay.
So I practice right next door to another chiropractor who is fantastic. He is it's what's called a straight chiropractor. He adjusts you 3 times a week. He adjusts the spine, adjusts your hips, neck, boom, and you come back again. I do myofascial release. I do trigger point. It's all encompassing in my practice. I don't like the side posture because I personally didn't like it. Mm-hmm. Putting your the pretzel and bend your knee over and everything else. So I'm already in pain, and now you're going to bend my leg, which already hurts,
right?
And then jump on me, and then tell me I'm going to feel better. No, it doesn't. I personally don't like it.
Okay.
I don't. So I use a technique called SOT, and they're little blocks that I put under the blocks. And with your own body, when you put the blocks at a different angles, depending on what condition you have, your hips shift, because the muscles that are holding you in place, that are making you hurt, relax, and then everything shifts into place. So then you're fixed without me having to jump on you.
Okay. And what are some things, because another chiropractic myth, all they're going to be able to treat is bone and muscle. There's nothing else chiropractic can do.
That is why I got into the SOT.
Okay. What does SOT mean?
Sacral occipital technique.
Okay.
And then that's like I took the blue pill.
Instead of the red pill?
Instead of the red pill.
Okay.
So then when I was in the blue pill, I decided to take a green pill. Because even the blue pillars don't take the green pill.
Okay.
Which is all about organs.
Okay. So
if you look at the spine, at every level, it represents a different organ. So if you have a bone out between T5 and T8, that has to do all your digestive. So people who have a lot of heartburn, gas, you know what? The middle, and then people are like, God, the middle of my back is bothering me. Yeah, you're right. And then it's affecting your digestion.
Right.
Then you have your lumbar area. I call it the 3 Ps. Pooping, peeing, and periods. You know, so that's where it's controlled. So if your low back is bothering you, then you have issues with hormones and you're pooping and all that other fun stuff that nobody wants to talk about.
So it's that just triggered a thought that the first time I went to see you, you asked me out of the blue, "Do you have issues with your kidneys?" And I was like, "What? How do you know?" And I have kidney stones. So, and I was like, "How do you know that?" And I guess these are things that I wouldn't think a chiropractor could diagnose.
Yeah, it's very common. And I ask people, and with a lot of women who come in.
But you noted something, right, in me that yes. Triggered that, right?
Right. I notice when you come in, I'm already paying attention.
Okay.
Like, you're talking to me and you want to tell me your whole life story and all that stuff. And I'm like, I'm listening to you.
Right.
And then most of the time, but I'm looking at everything,
Right.
And I'm seeing how your shoulders are positioned. I'm seeing that you're leaning on one leg. I'm seeing, all the little quirks that you have.
Right.
That show that where there's muscle imbalance, where the muscle imbalance is shifting your hips. So when people shift to one leg, it's usually because they have their hips out. And if they stand on both legs, then it bothers them. So they shift to one leg.
Okay.
And then when they shift to that one leg, now they're working out that one side, and now they're creating more of a muscle imbalance.
Right.
So it's best to stand on both legs. And then it's funny because at church, I'm watching everybody. Because the people who are shifting back and forth all the time from one leg to another, they have hip issues, and they're doing that. Then you have the other people who stand still,
right?
But they're rocking forward and back,
right?
Right. That has to deal with the sacrooccipital technique, the body flow of your CSF going from your sacrum to occipital, right, to your head.
Right.
It's not pumping correctly, so it's either pushing you forward or pulling you back. So I can just see people and they go, "Man," I want to walk up to them and just give them a card and say, "Hey, listen, your occiput's out," or "Hey, your sacrum's out."
Right.
But all those things, it's like I see things all the time, and that's what I love about when people say, "Oh yeah, I don't have any issues," and I can do muscle testing. I do a lot of muscle testing.
Right.
For people who don't know what muscle testing is, it's part of applied kinesiology, and it has to do with energy inside your body working correctly. So we create a circuit, just like electricity. And if I touch something that's off, the circuit will break and you will lose power, in your arm.
Right.
They're like, "Hey, how'd you do that?" And I'm like, and so when I adjusted the other day, I think.
What ages do you adjust from what
to womb to tomb?
Okay. Right.
Or right out of the womb and right before the tomb.
Right, got it.
But womb to tomb is easier to say.
Sorry, you said you were adjusting somebody the other day.
Adjusting a baby.
Oh, a baby
that was 8 days old, and it's just a wellness check to see what's going on with the baby, and the baby wasn't drinking out of the left breast of the mother, right? So I check, and the bone on the right was out. So you got to think about it. If your baby's not drinking from this one, but drinks from the other one, the reason why she's not drinking out of the left one is because every time they have to turn their head to the right, they got a bone there. That's in their way.
So that's throwing stuff off.
It's throwing something off. So then they can't, it's like if I tell you have to eat like this, that's not comfortable for you. So they don't want to do it. So
you talked about womb to tomb, but I know that you do a lot of work with pregnant women, correct?
Yes, a lot of pregnant women.
Okay.
I don't turn babies. Okay. I make room in the womb. Okay. And the babies turn where they want to go.
Okay.
And usually they go down.
Okay.
They usually go down. A bunch of successful VBACs for those who want to do VBACs, vaginal birth after cesarean.
Okay.
Just in case you didn't know.
I didn't know.
A lot of VBACs, a lot of the pressure and the swellingness is the lymphatics.
Okay. Talk to me about lymphatics, because I know that's a big part of your practice. That
has turned out now to be one of the biggest parts of my practice, because, I'm adjusting the shoulders. I'm adjusting the, sinuses. I'm doing all these things, and people were still telling me they're in pain. And you're looking at them swollen, and their arms are swollen. And they're like, "Yeah, I can't get rid of it." And so I started investigating and playing, with the whole concept. And I started figuring out that if you do one thing here, it releases a pain somewhere else. So then I really dove into it hardcore.
Okay.
And thank God I had a bunch of patients that were like, yeah, do it, and they let me do and explore and, experiment basically on them. And they all got better. And then we had people who had thyroid issues.
Okay.
And bam, their thyroid issues started going away. Some people had Hashimoto's. When people can't figure out what it is,
right,
they just go, oh, it's autoimmune.
Okay.
That's a very great. But how many people, all of a sudden, everybody has Hashimoto's, everybody has, what's the other one that everybody has? Schwarzen's.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, how has everybody all these? Oh, yeah. It's because of the lymphatic system. The lymphatic system's like the drain system, the drain field at your house.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And your organs are like your sink, your toilet, your bathtub,
mm-hmm.
right? And so like, oh my God, it's backing up. They're like, oh, my septic tank, my drain field is messed up. Yeah. So let's unclog that so that all the flowing works.
Yeah.
And so then people are like, wow, I'm losing weight. And I'm like, yeah, there's all my patients I suggest, and the ones that do it, they're seeing a great help in their body, is the vibration plates.
Okay.
Right, you stand on.
Right.
Google it. Benefits of Vibe Plate every single day, 10 minutes. And you're going to read that. I mean, the Vibe Plate companies right now are going to be like, we love this guy.
Yeah.
If everybody goes out and buys a Vibe Plate and does it 10 minutes a day, they will see how much better they feel.
Maybe that's our next move. We'll brand some
it's on the works. Plates. It's on the works. I have the guy looking for to have the Betch vibe. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Feel the Betch vibe.
Oh, that's a good one. I like that.
Everybody vibes in my office. Instead of waiting, I tell you, go vibe. It helps the adjustment. It helps the pain to touch. You're not supposed to be in pain to touch.
What about,
perfect.
Go ahead.
Go there. That's which is the big thing, is the fibrocystic breast.
Okay.
Right? And then you go in and then all of a sudden you're like, oh my God. And then everybody's scared to death that they have cancer in their breast, right?
Yeah.
And they start working on their lymphatics. I mean, it's gotten so big.
So the Vibe Plate is part of that whole process, or not necessarily?
Yes, because
lymphatics? Okay.
The vibration plate keeps everything moving. The vibration,
okay.
the lymphatic system doesn't have its own pump system.
Right.
So it relies on you moving. But if you're driving an hour to work, you're sitting 8 hours at work, and then you're driving an hour home, and then you're tired of driving,
and you're not going to do it.
And then you're like, I don't feel like going to walk.
Yeah.
Well, you didn't pump anything. So then it just keeps accumulating.
Yeah.
Everybody's like, oh, my knees hurt. Once we get the lymphatics going, they're like, wow, all those tracks go around your knee. So it's like pressure squeezing your knee. Those big balls on the inside of the knees that a lot of, most people have, that's all lymphatic. It's all lymphatic. The pain in the back of your neck, there you go, oh my God, it's lymphatic.
So I want to talk about switching gears. I want to talk about your office and what I've observed there. To me, it's uncanny because it's the only doctor's office I've ever walked into that people in the waiting room are all smiles.
Right.
And then, you don't hear screams like you see on videos and stuff of people getting racked and cracked, as you call it. I hear people laughing.
Right.
So what's going on?
Why go to a doctor that, I'm not a doomsday doctor. I don't do scare care. Mm-hmm. When you were talking about selling, I sell hope.
Okay.
There's hope for everybody. But when you get stuck in a medical model and then they start giving fear and they start running more tests and then they want to keep doing more things, and then you're like, you don't know what's going on. And then you have to wait 6 months to get an appointment with a certain doctor. And, it can take a year for them to go, yeah, it's not that. Let's start doing the other tests and see if it's something else. So but at the time, people are still fatigued. They're still feeling bad. They're not eating right. And then they're getting depressed. There's a lot of factors for your health. Right. It's the 3 T's. It's traumas, toxins, and thoughts. Everybody goes through the obvious trauma. Like you go, oh, I fell down.
Right. I
got hit by a car. One of those things. Then you obviously have your body's out of whack. Then you have the toxins. Everything you consume, right? Your body has to filter out what's good and what's not, what you're allergic to, what you're sensitive to, all those things. So, we're going to start doing food sensitivity tests because people see the certain changes, but they still don't know what's going on. And until they see it on a paper, then they don't say, hey, you know what? I am. Like a patient yesterday, she went and did the test and she's like, I'm allergic to eggs. I eat eggs every day for breakfast. And I'm like, well, yeah, maybe that's why.
That's a problem, right?
We haven't advanced to the next level. And I told you not to eat those, to eat eggs every day, because it's proven that if you eat eggs all the time, you can create your own allergy. As an adult, you can create your own allergies by consuming the same thing all the time.
Even Cuban coffee?
Yeah, well, then you start getting adrenal fatigue, which is a whole different issue.
Right,
That's a whole different issue, which is you get adrenal fatigue, right? And then it messes with your thyroid.
Yeah.
And then you start producing more cortisol. And then you're not producing the insulin, so then you're going into diabetes. And then it's all part of the natural body trying to accommodate to us, bombarding it with all these toxins that we have going on. Now, the new thing that I'm finding out, and I read an article, someone told me about it, so I looked it up. The microplastics, right?
Oh, I've heard about those.
Who are affecting male testosterone.
Yep.
And so then people are like, the women are going into these fertility clinics and they're getting IVF, and it's the husband's fault. But you come in, I can tell you what's going on down there.
Right.
There's some people who go in there and I tell them, hey, you have an issue? And they're like, with your prostate, or you have hemorrhoids? And they look at me and they're like, how do you know that? And I'm like, well, see where it's sensitive on your ankle, on your heel? And they're like, yeah. I'm like, it's one of the two. I go, it's the recreation area and the wasteland at the same time.
Got it. Yeah.
So there's a lot of things going on down there. And so people wonder what's going on. I do things with ED. Would you think I'm going to the doctor for ED, for chiropractor? Yeah, if the bone that sends the nerve to the pudendal nerve, which is arousal, right? It's not working because the bone's out of place and it's getting pinched. Is it going to cause you pain? No, it just makes things not work.
Right.
And then it's all about blood flow. So if your blood's not flowing correctly, it ain't going to work either.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to talk about the growth of your practice. Your practice obviously has growth tremendously, but now it's to the point where you're actually traveling the country upon request to do chiropractic work.
Yes, I do that.
So what is it?
I was very fortunate to have a gentleman who does, his business is called How to Manage a Small Law Firm.
Okay.
And he was telling me about his practice and about everything and about what he does is he builds your law practice.
Okay.
And he teaches these small entrepreneurs, as well. It's a law firm. No, yeah, you're a lawyer, but you got to run a business.
Yeah.
I'm a doctor, but I got to run a business.
Right.
So everybody has to make money and provide a service.
Right.
So he kept telling me, he goes, man, I got a lot of people that could use your help. He goes, you should travel. And I'm like, nah, I'm not, I don't think I should travel, and I'm thinking as a business, I'm going to close my office for a few days and then I'm going to fly over there and everything else. But, he started sending me the lawyers that would come into workshops. And so they started coming in and I started fixing them.
Okay.
And then they finally got a group together and they're like, listen, we're not going to come to you anymore in Miami unless you fly to us.
Okay.
And I was like, wow. So,
that'll help you make a decision.
So, it's like the big bear or the golden light.
Yeah.
The big bear came in more than the golden light, and so then I ended up, the golden light got bigger when I realized I can go to this convention and they're called live quarterly meetings.
Right.
But it's basically a big convention on a different topic every time. And then, so I went over there and I've had great success with them. I've been traveling now 4 times a year for the last 3 years.
Okay.
Every time they fly into Miami, they come in. I was flown to Joe Powers. Mm-hmm. I was flown to work on his shoulder because nobody could fix his shoulder. So they flew.
You did?
They flew. Yeah, in one visit. They flew me to Arizona.
Right.
I showed him what was going on. I showed him everything. And then while I was there, he was like, "Hey, can you work on this person?" In his group, in his network. And I've got a guy from Mexico is part of his group. Mm-hmm. And one day I walk in my office and this guy walks in and I look at him and I'm like, you're from Mexico. What are you doing here? He says, well, I have a layover. And I figured I'm never going to see you again because I haven't been laid over in Miami and I have 4 hours.
Right.
So he came without an appointment.
From the airport,
Showed up at my office, asked me to work on him. I worked on him, got back in a Uber, went back to the airport, and went back to Mexico. So that's when you go,
Unreal.
I guess I'm doing something all right.
Yeah. So now to wrap up, I want to talk about two last things. One is your marketing. And I have a comment because like our friend at Miami Water Heater, most people for videos, it takes them a while just to accept the idea. Then, they really do it. They struggle. They don't want to do it. And there's an evolution. And finally, you get into the groove.
Right.
With you, there was no evolution. I said, talk, and you started, and it's amazing because we don't script.
We never script.
And
so wait. So just for your
go ahead.
So we did remember the Falls series?
Yes.
So we went around the falls, and we would look at the name of the stores, and he would go. And I would just, boom, I would use their name to talk about something of chiropractic. I would talk about everything. It was just going on. Yeah. And we go places, and he hasn't been in front of the camera yet. But if you look at a lot of the old videos, and every once in a while I'll do it too, I'm like, come on, Carlos, keep up with me. Yeah. And I make him he just has to start filming. Sometimes he just films, and he cuts them because we can go on to next topic and next topics.
Well, you did film me doing push-ups once.
Oh, yeah, because this guy, he can do right now. He can drop and do 50 and just stand up without even changing his breath. I mean, he's very impressive for his age.
Thank you.
He said he went 100 years to the chiropractor. He's not that old, but he's a little bit older. I always say when I grow up, I want Carlos's arms.
I own that. Anyway, so it's, that is amazing because not only don't we script, but it's incredible how it goes because you just say go. And then you do a video and you say go, and then it's the next topic and the next and the next. So the last thing about those videos, and I'm trying to figure out, is so many comments about your hair. What's with the hair?
All right, so since I have it, you know what I mean. So I'm a big hair guy.
Okay.
To the point that I had an employee. Yeah. Nick, I'm gonna call him out. Nick, he had a bad hairdo, man. And I kept telling him, man, Nick, what's wrong with your hair, dude? And he's like, the barber, he just does it, and I can't. I go, listen, man, I even brought him to my house, and I cut his hair.
So you do that too?
Yeah, I cut hair too. I cut, actually, my son, and his buddies.
That's your legacy. I forgot to talk about that.
That's the other son.
Okay.
My 17-year-old, all his little Columbus friends, they all come over to the house, and then I got to clean up their ears and stuff before they go out, So, as the air comes over, they all come over, and then they make me barbecue and give them a haircut. I'm like, dude, what is this? This is like, I love being a dad, but this is a little much.
Yeah. So Little C?
Little C is a perfect, the people who have been with me and the people who knew Little C when he was Big C.
Little C is your son.
Little C is my son. Little C was my son. And during his football years and everything else, and when he wasn't decided yet to be a chiropractor, he got up to 300 pounds.
Wow.
And then I kept talking to him, and I can't, as the new, fat shame him. I can't, I break his ego and all that stuff. But I highly encouraged him to keep losing weight. And then I told him, and I said, so he started with the program at my office. We have the far infrared beds. Right. So that he did the far infrared beds and vibed. That's all he did.
Night and day.
No, he was 2 days a week. He was on the beds, and he vibed every single day. I tell everybody 10, 15 minutes a day. He was committed. He did 45 minutes a day, He lost the first 30 pounds before he started doing anything else, just in his lymphatics. He would have to buy 46 pants because his legs didn't fit in them.
Wow.
Okay. So now he stands up, and he goes to put my pants. He used to steal my pants when he lost some weight. Right. Now he can't wear my pants because his legs, he's super thin. He's down to, I think it's 185 pounds now. Super fit. He said, he told me, he goes, listen, if you want to be a doctor, I said, part of my success is I live what I do. Right. I eat as correctly as I can. I do eat only natural food. I cook most of my own food. I don't eat at restaurants, very little. You know, if you tell me you want to, let's go to dinner, I'll be like, oh, great, come over. I'll cook.
Right.
Because I'd rather eat my own food, you know, and then eat somebody else's food. But when he finally decided that he was going to be a chiropractor, I told him, I said, you got to look and feel and believe in what you're doing. So we go back to the truth. If you're going to sell the truth, you got to live the truth.
Yeah.
So he said, okay. And he lost 100 pounds before he left the chiropractic school.
Wow. So wrapping up, look at the camera and tell them how to get in touch with you.
You can call the office at 305-238-2310.
All right. Perfect. And thanks for
and
being
follow
here.
me on Instagram.
You got to follow him on Instagram.
Because I'm funny too.
Yeah, he is.
And by the way, this is how it is in my office. And it's like, people joke about it. They're like, Doc, you have ADD? And I'm like, yeah, ADD is my superpower. That way I can talk to every single body at the office at the same time.
And I've seen you do that.
And we all have fun.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us on Small Business Matters. We will see you soon.